Hey,
My
how
Marine
you
Hey,
Corps,
doing?
my
we're
Marine Corps.
here.
Hey, we're here.
How's it going, man?
Real good, real good. We're at the American Legion, post 245 in Seguin, Texas today, guys. And we have a super awesome, great guy to come in and have a little sit down with us today. So I want to welcome Mr. Sowder. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh man, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure.
This is real quick. What's really cool about this episode and Bubba coming on here talking. Also, we talk about Suicide Month. This is this is
Absolutely.
this is
It's the month.
Suicide Prevention Month. We talk about the veterans and the 22 a day. It is a real number,
That's
right?
very factual.
I got goosebumps just thinking about. We're here at the American Legion. We're in the back room. They're still in a meeting. We got a whole bunch of veterans back there. We just talked about what we do. Talked about the race team and how we race
Mm-hmm.
for our veterans and stuff like that. So 988. If you feel like you're hurting yourself, if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, if you're out there listening, please dial 988 gearheadsandguardians at gmail.com, info at relieffortroops.org. Email us, reach out to us. We're here to help out, and super fitting that Bubba's here tonight.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go into this real short. Bubba and I came from. We've been racing together for many years. We say many years. It's the better part of 10 years or so that we've
Yeah.
actually been around. Um,
Since '08.
one of the yeah, right, one of the nicest families that you could ever encounter at the racetrack, man.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
not only what they've done for me, but when you sit and look at back at what, if you ever do your research, especially when you read Landon Souter's,
Right.
racing
Bio.
bio and talk about the family, Shanna and Bubba are the ones at the track that will, if they've got it, it's
It's
yours.
yours. Yeah. Yep.
And since I've known them and I've been around them, my if you look back in the corner, my car is in their shop. They took me in. They take people in. They've
Well, yeah.
everybody knows them.
It's
You
just
know,
it's just like the first time I ever met him and his wife. I mean, they just acted like I was
part of the family.
somebody that
Yeah,
they've known for years.
Hey,
And
we had
just
a
met
good
him like
time that. We had a good
literally
time
minutes
that
yeah.
night.
ago.
We
Hey,
we did have a good time.
we had a great time that night. I remember that.
You're
Yeah,
laughing at me, don't lie.
and for anybody if for anybody that doesn't know, and if you read the description under the YouTube tag on this, Bubba's a former Marine, was stationed in Japan. He's a mechanic, and when we say mechanic in the military world, doesn't matter what branch you is. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's just a mechanic." Let me tell you something. We were not on the road. We
Without
did not
mechanics,
do, logistics and mechanics and chefs. Everything else didn't matter.
and
We were
supply.
eating, moving, or talking.
Roger.
Nothing else really mattered. So, Bubba, thank you so much for being here. I know we had
Cheers,
talked
brother.
about a long time ago. You and I had we've gone through some things in our lives together, and you had a point in your time in your life where um, some things just um, some things just weighed down on you. And in today's PTSD world and veterans and what have you not, anxiety
Mm.
is a real deal. And being on CBD and being an
Oh,
ambassador for release and what it's done for veterans and us, um,
absolutely.
there's still things we some of us don't understand because we don't go through it. And you and I
Right.
had talked one night after our podcast talking with Landon, and you had said, "Hey, man, if you want to talk about anxiety, you want to talk about soldiering, and you want to talk about things that I can contribute to helping others maybe understand what they're going through, because there's people that don't really understand it. You're willing to come on and do this. So, let's dig back to your military career real quick. United
Yeah.
States
Good place
Marines.
to start.
Um, your first duty was Japan. Tell us a little bit about your life and how it became to be in the Marines and how it transcended to where you're at now.
Well, uh, first of all, you forgot that I was in North Carolina my first 2.5 years, but I'll let that go.
Oh, that's
But
right. I forgot about
I spent my last year in Okinawa, me and Shanna. Um,
Mm.
just like being any other Marine, I mean you're hard. I mean I had plans of going to the drill field, uh, just I was a badass, right? Right? I mean, we're in our mid-20s. I mean, we're some bad son of bitches. I mean, it is what it
Right?
is.
Don't know any better.
Don't know any better. Things change in your MOS, and you don't agree with it. And I'm not gonna speak, a whole lot about that. But I ended up coming home. Ended my Marine Corps career a little earlier than I wanted, uh, definitely. But it was all good. Um, had landing, and then kind of went on from there. Lived really lived all of my 20s and 30s just you know taking in anything that I needed to. I could handle any kind of stress. I was up for the challenge, because I was United States Marine. That's what I'm supposed to do, and I carried that. I carried that, and I carried it well. uh, I wasn't scared of anybody, any situation, uh, anything that ever happened. I mean, you roll through some hard times, you roll through some hardships, but you power through them, and you're a you're a man, and you go for it. So
That's it.
And where you sit today, right after being through all that, uh, how do reflect on what you see today's military compared to when you and I were in, or what you were in the sense, so that maybe viewers can get an understanding of. Listen, there was a transport. There's a time where things kind of just shifted. Now and you said it right.
Yeah.
But you and I did it. We're badasses. We don't want to be at home. We don't want to be underneath our parents' houses anymore. We're going to go out and save the damn world. Next thing you know, we're like, what do I do
What
now?
the hell did I do?
And yeah, and look where you've
For
come
real.
today and what you do, and even into the racing world, and you look back and go like, these kids have no idea. These troops today really don't have an idea of what it's truly like. What say you on that?
well, they definitely don't know what spending some time in the whiskey locker is with the drill instructor. They don't
Yeah.
they don't know what that's about. Uh, Years ago, I heard
Volleyball
they have a
counseling.
stress card, which that was kind of weird. There just the whole idea of boot camp is what I know is totally different. We were 13 weeks. I think now they're down to 10. There's some differences, but look, I'm not gonna knock it. Uh,
Right.
they're gonna Maybe that's as much money that we can afford to train a young man or woman right now. Back then, we
Vado.
had more money in the government, and maybe we could spend more money to spend, to send them through more weeks of school and get them trained up. Maybe that's not my deal, but definitely the social media and things like that have taken effect on the way young men and women, as far as what I call being hard. Uh, Fortitude, intestinal fortitude, I think, is one thing. I mean, I think we had that back then. I think it's
Right.
kind of lacking a little bit now, but I mean,
Yeah.
them guys are.
I agree
I
100%.
I love them. I appreciate every one of them serving.
There was a moving to today, and you and I talked about dealing with when you get out of those stress, when you get out of that life, right? When you get out of that go hard and think about it later, just do now, and then when everything starts rolling back in the mind, we all have moments in time where we sit there and go, wow, and it kind of soaks in. You and I
Yeah.
talked about this recently
Yes,
about
we did.
when they came out with the new CBD vibe, but
Mm,
so
that's right.
and couple years ago, when you and I first, like when I went through what I went through, I was going through a hard time. You reached out and said, hey man, I got you covered. Something that is you're very notorious for is helping people out, and for that I'm forever grateful. But you and I
I
had a
was I
talk.
was I was I was still in a jam up spot back then, Andrew. I could still save the world. And it was, and I love you. I mean, that's just something I do. That's kind of the guy that I am. I see somebody struggling, and if there's anything I can damn do about it, then I'm going to do it. But I saw that, and I reached out, and we became buds.
And yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say personally, okay, from me, I want to thank you for taking care of my best friend. No, you laugh, but he is literally my best friend I've ever had. So I want to thank you, just for being there for him. I mean, I could not, physically, financially, mentally. I was not in a good place. Period. I couldn't.
And we all go through those times. And,
we all do.
And,
Absolutely.
And so for that, I'm ever grateful. But I want to segue into like kind of really why we're here then, and where we're at now.
Sure.
Like I told you before, this may get a little touchy, but a couple years ago, before my ignorance and life lessons went down, you went radio silence for the better part of a year or so.
Yes.
To say that lightly, and some of us had the courtesy to go, some ain't right. Let's not bug the man. Obviously, there's a lot of people that care about you because you care about other people. And then we were standing at the fireplace one night, and you and I had a very in-depth, the fire pit, a very in-depth conversation. Let's go back and talk, if you will, about that time where you just went, I'm gonna be lights out for a little while, and you didn't say anything to anybody, and that's not a dig. That's just Landon, would communicate with me and say, hey, you know what, Dad's doing his thing right now. Very little information. You went radio silence. That was a very, very trying time for you, and it may not have been the first time, but that was the most trying for you, as you had put it. Give us a little insight to anxiety and what it really can do to someone when it just comes on by itself and you have no idea it's coming.
It's like the psyche, everything.
Yeah,
it can be damaged. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it all started in 2019. Actually, it's late 2018, early 2019. I'd noticed a little bit of getting excited about moments, a little bit overexcited, and then it kind of turned into what I didn't know at the time was anxiety. I never had anxiety. I'm a Marine, right? I'm badass. I go for it. If I have a problem, I just attack it and deal with it. 2019, early 2019, I could feel my heart race a little bit more than it should. I felt a little bit more distant from everybody, mainly because I thought that they were looking to me for more answers than I had. Maybe that I'd put myself on a imaginary plateau that they were looking up to me. That sounds like self-centered, but that's just how I felt in my mind. It all started really on a normal day at work. I was a field technician. I had a mowing service truck, and I got to a job site and I couldn't get out of the truck. I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, that I had to go talk to people. I had to interact with a bunch of people and tell them what was wrong and why I'm here. And it's like the world came down on me. And I ended up having to call my supervisor to tell him that I couldn't get it. I can't get out of the truck. I said, I don't feel good. I played it off, and I came home. And the whole way home, I was trying to understand what was going on in my mind and what was happening. I kept telling myself, Bubba, you're a United States Marine. I said, what is wrong with you? What's happening? You know, how come you can't pull yourself out of this? Why? And your mind just starts going 10,000 miles an hour, and not can't think about any one thing. Um, so that was kind of the start of it, and then obviously you once it happens to you, then what's your first reaction is to Google what's wrong with you. So then
Right.
you Google some of the symptoms, and then it just blows up into just chaos.
Yep.
And was there ever, let's talk about that in the sense of um, fear. Were you scared of anything? Were you thinking I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't. Besides it really kind of consuming you,
It
right?
does too.
What did it take you down other dark roads, right? That we too often talk about, or was it more of I just need to just stop for a minute and try to figure this out?
Sure. So that those kinds of things kept happening over the next few months, and it was all I could do to get up in the morning and get to work and get my day done. And that anxiety just kept building and building and building. And I lost a few contacts, just like you. It was hard for me to talk to you on the phone because I didn't want to let you down. I didn't, and then when you put that weight on your shoulders, you don't want to let your friend down. So then, okay, the easiest way not to let him down is just don't answer the phone. A few more months go by, and it compounds and compounds and compounds. So finally, you never want to think nothing's wrong with you. So my mind, I'm thinking something's wrong with me physically. So what I did, and me and Shanna, is I scheduled every doctor. I had my blood work. I had endoscopy, colonoscopy. I had ultrasounds. I had everything, every test that you could possibly find to find out why I felt the way I did and why I had the symptoms that I did. And we can talk about them symptoms, in a minute whenever you're ready. But
Sure.
I spent thousands of dollars thinking it wasn't here. It's here. It's something in here making me do this because here I'm a Marine.
Right.
I got this. This is fine. This is good. It's got to be somewhere in here. There's something lurking around in this body that's trying to take me out.
Right.
Finally, after everything in here, oh, you're great. You're great. And this is after 2 back surgeries. I'm not great, but I'm physically good.
Yeah.
I went to a psychologist. The best thing I could have done. And
Same.
I went in there and I told him my symptoms. And he was a school student. I'll give him a shout out. I Care, I think is where I went. And he thumbed through his book. He said, "The doctor's not here, but I'm gonna try to help you." So he thumbed through his book, and he said, "Well, you got this and this symptom, blah 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 blah." He says, "I think you suffer from panic attack." And what? Me? I'm the most outgoing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save the world. A year ago, I'm trying to save the world, and now I can't deal with stuff. So 3 days before that, before I went to that psychologist, I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Could not leave my room. My room was my safe place. If I was home and I was in my
Like your
room,
Yeah, the
sanctuary.
safe zone.
that was my safe zone, my room, and it was tough. It was tough on my marriage. Obviously, I lost some good contacts, some good friends because of it. Because sometimes they didn't understand. Um, but when he told me that, obviously, what you do is you go home and research it. You Google it and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it helped me out.
You know, you had mentioned, Chuck, one time we were talking about your situation that you just went through.
Yeah.
And can you relate to what Bubba's saying about kind of and obviously
More than one way.
even as men and brother, you can even say this yourself. Men in general, we want to go. We're gonna carry the world on our backs, and
Absolutely.
there's nothing that can
That can freaking
stop
me.
us because we are hard headed. But I mean, you can kind of relate to this with your.
No, I was
what
just
you
talking to him
went through.
before when you were in the meeting in the back. Bubba and I were talking, and I was telling him, it's like I had to quit my last job just because of the mental that was messing with me,
Mm-hmm.
and it got to the point where literally it was physically messing with me.
Yeah, debilitating. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
wasn't just like, oh, I don't feel like going in, like that. No, it wasn't nothing
Yeah.
like that. It was like I was physically debilitated.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck, and
You know,
there's some I want to
and
there's some I want to say about
and of
that right
course,
there, and I've told Andrew, we've had a lot of talks around the shop. We had a few
Yeah.
beers, and,
so
and,
bad.
and we get into this mindset, and I've probably said it before, but in my belief, in my opinion, because I'm not a doctor, but men men carry stress different. It compounds on them. It
That's
lives
fact.
it lives in their shoulders, lives in the body. We don't talk about it because I got that, whatever. I got it.
Right.
It is what
Yeah.
it is. But we carry that stress differently, and we don't talk about it. Now, one of the best things, and I wanted to say this, is one of the best things that helped me out when I was going through this year of hell is basically what it was, and until I found a solution, and I'll tell you about that later. Was I was able to finally tell people what I was going through. So
Right.
one
Mm.
of the best things was to go to Andrew. Andrew, I know you don't understand, but if I do this, this, and this, it's not because of you. It's because I feel like this. I told
Right.
Landon, my boy, my son. I said, Landon, if I do this, this, and this, is because I feel like this, and you got me. I went to the guy that was driving with Franco. I said, if I do this, this, and this, it's because it's this. And the more I told them and expressed to them my problem, the
Easier.
the easier it was. It wasn't a solution by any means, but it was easier to be
It was a
social,
start, though,
and
right?
Yeah.
it was a start. It was a start. Absolutely.
Yeah. But the freedom, and I've never really had an anxiety issue, and I
That
had
you
one
know of.
that I know of, and I'm glad you said that too, Bubba, because a lot of times when we no matter where the anxiety starts, like we don't know what triggers it. You didn't know what triggered it for
We
you.
don't.
We do
No.
know that over the learning period of when we start feeling things come on because of certain things going on around us, whether too many people, there's a lot of stress at work or whatever. We know that when we
Yeah.
back away from that and it goes away, then we start learning what's Nitro's point, what's Bubba's point,
Right.
what's Landon's anxiety point, right? We all have a different one. However,
Right.
when did you start, after the fall kind of cleared, right? When the fall kind of cleared and you I remember the phone call that you gave me. You said, And the first thing you said was, "Brother, I love you, not you. I'll call you back when you know you. Even though we didn't talk very long, you allowed me to say we're just worried about you. We just care about you." And you said, "Thank you, but I'm gonna go and deal with this." That was the first time I heard from you. In that time, what
Yeah.
was it that you found? Not only did it make you go start talking to people like you just said you did, but what also brought you to that point? What was the thing that you said? Was it something that said, "No, damn it, Bubba, you've got it, you've got to step out of this," or was it something that just your body said, "Huh"? What do you remember what it was that made you just start going, "Okay, my turn"? You know what I
That
mean? Let me
aha
reach an
moment.
aha moment to reach out.
Sure, sure. And that goes back to what I was saying is I was in this funk for a while, and finally just just communication, uh, and telling myself that my friends aren't going to shun me because I'm like this. They just want to hear from me. They just want to see
Right.
me.
That's it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They just want to
Yep.
say, "Hi, I'm going to lie to you. I'm going to say I'm doing great, but I'm hearing from you." Well, that was a step
That's
for me
funny
actually
that you
get
said
up.
that.
That was a step for me to actually to get on the phone to conversate with somebody, because as you know, 3 months before that, you couldn't get me on the horn to save your life because I
Yeah.
couldn't talk to anybody. It was debilitating. Um, go, it's a thing, and it's the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. And
Uh,
I hope I never have to do it again. Um,
Well,
it was it was tough on me. It
if
was tough
that
on my
ever
family.
arises, if it ever arises, you know,
yeah.
you got two buddies right here that'll get your sticks anytime, brother.
So
Absolutely.
you know, Bubba, you I remember I don't want to reflect on it, for my benefit, and I say this with all
I
humility,
know what you're
but the
about to say. I know what you're about to talk about. um,
I
so
was do you
so
know how happy I was that I actually physically saw him,
yeah.
and uh, it was out of the it was really kind of out of the blue, but he had called me, says, "I'll be over at your house." We were doing something with the race car.
Yes.
I was doing
Yeah.
something,
Yes.
and he called me up, says, "I'll be over," and I was like, "My
Oh
boy's
yeah.
coming," because we
Yeah.
all wanted to see you physically, just
Yeah.
make sure that my boy is here. You know?
Sure. I remember that day very vividly. Um, one, because I had to go out in public with
Uh-huh. That's
my
right.
family, and go get family pictures taken, which was out in public, and I'm I'm wigging, like I'm barely holding this thing together, and the only thing that I can think about is after I'm done with this shenanigans. Well, they're pictures, but
Right.
I'm going to go to Andrews, and I'm going to work on this damn race car, and I'm going to focus all my energy and everything that's going on in my head to try to get my boy's car going. And when I got there, you know, I'm this way, I'm that way, but as the evening went on, it kind of it slowly came in and helped me out.
You know, you talked about going and talking to somebody, and you said that was one of the best things, that you could have done, was to at least go have someone tell you that it's not this, it's that. It, it's
Sure.
you're not wrong. You're physically okay. You haven't put yourself in danger anywhere. So when they were able, and you actually realized, okay, it is the gray matter,
Yeah.
right? Even after you and I had talked about it, it wasn't over with. We worked on
No.
the car. We had some black
Mhm.
crows going on, but you still had it going on, and over that period of time, that's no lie. I mean, the first thing I said was when he jumped out, I said, "Oh, we got some
Oh, we
black
got some
crows.
black crows
Oh,
going
this is
on.
what we're doing."
That's our jam, by the way.
We talked. We had this conversation pretty in depth at the fire pit, but I want you to talk about that transition period where you figured it out, but then you haven't figured out what's going to get you past it. What is going to get you where now I understand it, because recognizing is the first thing. Second is,
Yeah.
how do I understand this? And then the third is keep it away. So what
What's the
what
solution,
was it for
basically?
you after you found it out? And by the way, real quick in our chat, Jennifer says hi, Bubba. Sends a heart to you. She's watching right
All
now.
right.
What was that? What was that time? What was it for you that said, "This is it, and this works. I'm going to keep doing this"?
Right. So the chronological order, I guess, as this thing progresses. Um, so I go to every doctor known to man. They can't figure out anything wrong with me. I get subscribed some medication that makes me want to listen to Metallica and drive 140,000 miles down the road, which that's not going to work. Um,
Listen to Metallica.
I kind of realized to myself, if you want to keep doing this, then I start telling people about my problem. So that's kind of expressing, that's to me it makes me feel a little bit better. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. There was some times in there that were pretty damn tough. That you tell yourself, hey, I can't do this. Like I don't want to rock like this.
Right.
Right on. Right on.
It's tough to say. It's tough to think about, but you do. I mean, that it's in your head. So what happened moving forward is I went to this psychologist, and he said, "Well, you have in these little pages, you have panic disorder." He said, "Everything that you told me, you started out with anxiety, and you've moved it up into a panic disorder."
Wow.
So it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders, Andrew. It was like the aha moment. I finally
Yeah,
know. I finally know what it is. I have been searching for this magical thing for 8, 10, 12 months.
Yeah.
So I go home and I Google panic disorder, and I get on Amazon and I get this damn book. I read the preface, and it saved my life. I'm talking three pages
That's
into this thing.
Uh,
And you
Can
know
I
what
ask you
they
a quick,
talked
quick
about?
question, Dub?
Do you know what they talked about the first 3 pages? I'm sorry, Chuck. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you: is there a way we could get a link to that you found?
Absolutely.
I'd love to share that with everybody. I really would, because I know that you and me as well. I've been through it, and um, it seems to me like you had a better avenue than what I had. I mean, we ended up in the same place, but you had
Right.
a better, way better avenue than I did. So yeah, I mean, if you can share that, with us later on, and we'll post it, a couple episodes down the road or whatever, that'd be great.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
So in these first 3 pages of this preface going into this book, it's actually a workbook, is what it is.
Roger.
What I what I learned, the most important thing that was in my head is I'm not the only one.
Yeah. And
It's not just me.
That's why I can say I'm happy to say that
The symptoms that I had,
in there too.
okay, and we'll talk about symptoms. We'll talk about hot flashes. Doctors say that men don't have hot flashes. Fuck off.
Bullshit.
Oh, hey.
Bullshit.
Okay, they say they don't have them. I mean, they talk about heart palpitations. My heart's been beating so damn fast that I didn't think it was beating anymore because you couldn't even feel it. It was just like numb.
Yeah.
Lightheadedness,
Yep.
confusion, stuff like that. It's and to know that somebody else had the same problems and made it out. It saved me. It took it is like 10 tons of weight off my shoulders. Now look, do I still have anxiety every now? Yes, I do. But that book has taught me how it's in talking about it. That's why I'm here today. Talk about it. Talk about it some more. I'll tell anybody. You know what I went through. And it's hell. It's pure hell. But talking about it helps me. And if anybody hears it and they see me that I went through the same thing, I believe it will help them too.
You brought up a good point about the realizing, and I think we do this in all problems, but it's really hard when it's up here, right? Is we're not the only ones that go through it. Out of everything, that little dynamic phrase right there, I'm not alone, is so hard to really realize. I even told you
Three
that.
words, but they're this freaking big.
Right. And
Yep.
I'm glad you said that, Bubba, because anybody that's watching that has this thing, and not just anxiety, that's
Yep.
anything. I think a lot of people, a lot of veterans, especially when you have
Well, yeah.
PTSD, why we
Yep.
have these situations with the 22 a month is because they feel like they're alone.
They have no
And
place to turn.
and they don't have to. Did you in that? So I'm gonna go back just for a second talking about that. Did you feel alone when you shelled up, or was it more of just you're not alone, you want to be alone to figure it out?
And there it is right there. It is. I'm a Marine.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm better than that up here, right? This that can't get in here because I'm a badass.
Right.
I've always been a badass.
right.
I've raised this family. I've been a badass for 37 years, 49 years. I'm a badass. You can't touch me. But this thing grips you so hard. It grips you so damn hard. And it sucks you in. And you think that there's nobody else going through this. It's just you. It's just you in your head. But to see the words and see it, that someone has published a book about it. This many people do it. It happens. And that to me is what got me on the right track. Is knowing that I'm not alone. And obviously, like I said before, talking about it helped me a shit ton.
What do you have to say? I say it all the time. Obviously, our platform with the charity and what we do with racing, and we tell people all the time, listen, don't have enough have enough respect for yourself and understand, be humble about it, but talking and communicating what's going on actually can help you learn even more, because other avenues of people going through whatever their triggers are to go through it actually can help you even learn more about what you're going through. So Joe Snuffy here is like, man, Bubba Sowder, I listened to you. I have the same thing, but how did you how do you not feel, or how did you finally feel that you are not alone? And you said a book. So as they come and they say, I have this issue and I feel like nobody's listening, what do you have to say to those people out there and veterans that say, "Hey, I don't feel like anybody's listening." And I'm talking because some people be like they got problems, but they just want to talk and talk and talk and get it out, and then they don't feel like they're being listened to either. What do you have to say to maybe on that side of it?
Well, there's always going to be someone that can listen. I'd figure call me.
Right.
You know, call me, call you.
Yeah.
Um, there's
Yeah.
support
Exactly.
groups. There's
Call,
there's support groups out there. I mean, Chuck's out there. I mean, we're all here. I mean, this is just like more on you guys is the PTSD stuff. I mean, this is in in my experience is kind of in the same realm, but we're all
yes.
here together. I mean, you have the Legion that you guys go to. Um,
It's been great. I can't lie about
Yeah.
that.
you you get to go and talk to other people that have the same problems. It's I don't know. It's hard to find the words, but you got to start talking. You got to start talking about it in awareness.
Well,
Awareness, like we're doing here tonight, is one of the big things. Is awareness.
I think
force it.
I think a big thing too, kind of because you know my personality.
Sure.
I'm 100 miles an hour all day, right? And you and I have talked
Mm-hmm.
quite extensively, quite more than
A lot. Yeah.
a lot.
Just like Bubba and I, we
Exactly.
talk all the time.
But I think a big key to a lot of it that people tend to overlook. Okay, patience, man. You got to
Yeah.
have
Patience.
patience.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. Hey, Rome wasn't built in a day,
Yeah.
and Rome is a beautiful place. It wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
And if you want, and it happened for me, and I'm sure for Bubba too. You know,
Yeah.
a little bit of patience,
Yeah.
a little bit of perseverance, and a whole lot of heart.
Yeah.
And you
And
know, you're
and
gonna
another thing is,
find people
it
that
it,
actually
it,
give a damn.
it doesn't go away. It's
Yeah.
it never totally goes away. It's like your little
No,
friend
it doesn't.
that lives in your back pocket, right?
Yep.
But what you can do is learn to fight his ass and kick his ass whenever he wants to raise his little head. I mean,
Right.
and those are just and those that's what I'm saying. The books and the help that's out there, they're tools. They're tools to help you battle that. I mean, I don't do yoga. I don't have a spiritual healer that can maybe do wonders. But I can tell you this: I have tools that I learned out of my book, which I'm not going to say it's the one that everybody needs,
Sure.
but it's a good one, and it worked for me. But there are tools that we can learn to battle that silly shit.
Right.
Amen.
Yeah. And we're at a point now with where you're at a point now in your story, where if you turn around, you have two dirt late models behind you, and there's been a few times where you've told me I don't want to be out here doing this, but I need to force myself to come and work on a cars. Not that the cars need worked on, but it's more for you. Whatever you've done it a couple times. And if I must say, you've gotten really good at dealing with this, and probably a lot under the radar that we don't see. But there have been a few times, and it's real. He said, I'm here to work on a car, not to work on the car, or something to that effect. I remember you said it,
Right.
and I knew right then, you know what? Then let's do something on the car because he actually needed to get out of something. Is that
the zone?
how does
That's
how does now that we're kind of moving into where you're at with coping with this and getting beyond it, and you can get focused back on the car? Like you said, you wanted a lot of people that wanted answers. There's a lot of racers out there that Bubba, wants Bubba's help, knowledge, his understanding. There's so much that you do for racing, Bubba, and I can say it personally myself, and I love you for everything that you've done for my racing career. But let's talk about how racing has actually helped you cope even more with having something to do to get your mind off something, and it doesn't last as long now.
Right. So it was in the midst of all that, in the midst of everything I was going through 2019. I did have a sport mod team, and I remember there were a few times that I would get to the track and I was in the truck and I would have Landon with me, and just the sheer amount of people at the gate trying to check in, I would actually have to let Landon off at the gate.
Yep.
And I tell him, I said, son, I need a minute. I need a minute.
Sure.
And go try to get the car ready. Of course, I had the tools, but I said, just give me a minute. And those few minutes that I needed helped me out. And then once I got in the gate, once I finally fought through and got in there and got the tools out and got to turning the wrenches, it all kind of evaporated, right? So it's the same thing now. You feel that pressure. You feel those little minions up in your pocket trying to come down on you. Then you come out to the shop and you get some tools and you get some jams and let that stuff kind of go. But the main thing is talking about it. You gotta talk about it. You gotta talk. And me and you, Andrew, we probably have this. We've had this same conversation probably about every 2 or 3 months, whether it's me or whether it's you. And you talk about it. You talk about it, and it helps.
It really does. One of the things for me, and you hinted to, and I'm sure you and I've talked about it too, is having the humility and tossing the ego to the side and the manhood, and I'm a man, and saying, no matter what the situation is, whether it's anxiety or you got relationship issues or what have you, not being able to say, Bubba, where am I wrong? Right? What am I? And we all do it, but that's part of that communication, because I wouldn't say it's a validation thing. It's more of tell me what I'm missing, so that up here I'm not crazy about what's going on. And it may not be an anxiety thing, but it all can lead to anxiety, because that pressure and that stress of what's going on leads to it. And so I think that what you said about being able to communicate has a lot to do with knowing that we don't want to be a burden on people. Bubba, you've said it. You've said it a few times over the years when you were kind of more in the situation. It's kind of tailored off now, but you've said it too. It's like, you never want to feel like you're burning somebody with your problems, especially if they've got problems too and they're talking to you about it. You know what I mean? But you got to be able to talk.
My thing on that, if they're a real friend,
yeah.
It isn't gonna matter.
Yeah, and and Bubba preaches that a lot.
How many times have you called me just out of the blue, just person, or vice versa?
Yeah, you have to.
Sometimes you got to put that pride aside and say, look, what's really important? What's the big picture? What's really important? Is it my family and my friends, or is it this tiny little bit thing that it's really bugging me right now? Yeah. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of prioritize. But then once you prioritize that, then, like Bubba said, it's communication. Talk.
Yeah.
Get it out there.
Get it out.
Because your real friends and your real family aren't going to give a rat's about nothing except your well-being. Yeah. And that's how I see it.
So,
and you.
So if like Andrew was talking about, we come out to the shop to work on cars, right? And I got something I need to get done, and I'll have my tools. I'll have my tools out. I know what I'm about to do to my car. Andrew comes over. He says, this, and this, and this is happening, and this and that, and then we just push the tools away, and
no,
we're gonna.
Hey,
we're gonna talk about this, and this is gonna be the evening. And we're gonna get to the bottom of this, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. You know, that's our mental and what's happening up here is far more important than that hood over there or that fender. Or if we get, we're not going to say
Right.
stagger because that means a shit ton. But I mean, it means a lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot more. I mean, we there's a we can put that off. I mean, being together and like
Yeah.
I said, communication and having your core group and having your peeps and your buds. I mean that's the thing.
It is a thing. I'm glad. I joked one time, and I remember telling you that we're gonna put a neon sign that has shop on one side and it says Bubba's counseling on the other side, because I'm not gonna lie, there's it's we go in there and I'll go in there blowing my horn. I'll grab a beer and we're getting ready to work on cars. Damn it, Bubba, let me, what the, and he, what he does, he cracks a beer and he sits there and he's just like this, forget everything else. But what's good about that, is you get it off your chest.
That's
Absolutely.
start.
You're
That's
absolutely
number
correct.
one.
Get it off that chest. But I want to ask you. I know we're getting close on time, but I have a couple more, and I think this is important for people to understand too. Is you have time when you have time to figure it out. What do you do in that time to figure out what's causing this? So in your time, as it's tapered down now, you've really come very, very far. And I can say that as watching you, because being in a shop almost every day, and not as much as I like to, but being able to see, we learn each other, right? We know what's bothering you, something's bothering you, and you kind of just let that person be. But in that time, have you found out what truly, like, what starts to bring it on, and in enough time so you can go, I know what it is, and I'm gonna
Head it off. At the
figure it out.
pass.
Have you figured that out of this whole anxiety, panic stuff, that this is what it is, or are you still kind of figuring that part out?
That's that's a that's a pretty good question. Um, I've, I guess I don't have an answer for that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I don't like a whole lot of crowds, so I'm not really big on crowds. Um, was I a crowd person in my 20s and 30s? Hell yeah, I wanted a party. Now
Yep.
I'm getting a little bit older. I'm getting a little bit older, and I like to kind of keep to myself and have my my few peeps and stuff like that. Um, it's I don't think it ever goes away. It's just you learn how to kind of not be a part of that or learn more about it. Get you some information
Yeah,
of like,
Yeah.
hey,
kind of coping
bef-
deal,
bef- yeah, before I go there, expect what's going to happen. And there's another thing I've been trying to do is is it's like it's a thing is you
Mm-hmm.
you try to test yourself. You okay. I know there's gonna be
Oh,
50 people here, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and do it. I'm gonna get back in the game.
Right.
And
Right.
and typically it turns out fine because now I have those tools in my toolbox, like I talked about, to
Yep.
fix that thing. Whenever I feel that little minion in my back going, hey, we're getting a little cray cray here, but like, calm down, guy. This this ain't first thing that comes to my mind is this ain't your first rodeo. You've been around 50
Right.
people before, and you've had this conversation before, and you can do this before because you know what? Because you and Andrew have talked about it in the shop before. You've done this. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to start remembering all the stuff you talked about. So it's
Right.
it's it's a thing.
Right. And real quick, we can't go without talking about getting his racing, his thing real quick. I grew up around sprint cars, and we were in limited late model class together, and then out of the blue, Bubba says, "You need to get out of that and get into this." The world of racing today for Bubba Sowder, Landon Sowder, us at Trifecta Racing, late models. What is it for you to be able to watch on TV and know that in your shop you have cars of the same caliber, of the same, you do the same thing, and you know that's awesome. What is your drive behind racing? You go through all of this. You come from the military. You deal with I'm gonna say PTSD, with anxiety and everything that comes with it, panic, whatever, and then you still have racing. And racing is what we do. How does racing, and what is your take on the racing for Bubba Sowder and everything, and dealing with everything that you've been through?
It's I don't know. It's the easiest way for me to answer that. One, I love it. I love everything about it. I love the competition. I love being in the shop. I love people coming in the shop. I love the challenge of fixing something. I love don't don't tell Ray this, but I love fixing damage. I don't mind. I, I don't mind. You know, uh, making something better than what it was.
Right.
I just this is what has kept my mind busy when it could be doing other stuff. It's what I like. I don't know. It's what I like to do. I mean, you're a racer. I mean, I'm personally not a driver because I can't see, and you drivers are idiots and crazy. But I love being around race cars. I like it. I don't know. I just want to say I like it. I love it. And it's what I do.
Well, I personally thank you for getting me into a 4-bar car, because you need 3 PhDs and then a doctorate on top of that just to understand what was going on back there. But
Yeah.
Landon, real quick, we're going to talk racing real quick. We talk about um, uh, learning the learning curve of these cars. We also talk about Landon and his ability to really in his zone. Landon is in his zone, shocks and springs and setups and things like that. The amount of knowledge, even when you read a book, the amount of knowledge has. What do you see in Landon's future? At not only just as his dad, but as he expands on racing, like we have. What do you see his future like in late models? Obviously, we won't drive anything else. I can't drive a sprint car because then I won't have a girlfriend anymore. But what do you see for Landon, and how he's transitioned from front runner to the limited late, if you will, into, or a little shaky limited late, and then up into a full blown late model?
Yeah. Well, he's progressed. Pretty good. I mean, he's still young. I mean, he didn't start in the go kart when he was 4 years old. We didn't have the funds and the means for that. Uh, Landon is he's such a good driver. You know,
Yes.
we were
What I saw.
we were I've whenever we started rate whenever he was old enough. I mean, I was a Mark Martin fan, and he turned into a Mark Martin fan, and Mark Martin's always been a fair and good driver, and I instilled that into Landon, and he's got that. He ain't out there to wreck nobody's stuff, and he don't want to junk nobody, and he just wants a fair, clean race, and you beat him, you beat him. You're gonna beat him on talent. You're gonna beat him on core. It's fine.
Mhm.
Just have fun.
Just don't
That's
wreck
great.
nobody. Don't junk nobody. Um, I see Landon. His knowledge is going to progress. Far more than you and I, because I can only stuff so much knowledge in here, and if I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
something's got to go. But he's getting
True.
better. He's learning a shit ton about the smasher and stuff like that. We're only going to go up from here. I mean, are we going to set the world on fire? Are we going to be the next RTJ? No. Are we going to be the next
Don't
your
cut
best
Vegas.
driver, Bobby Pierce? Probably not. But are we going to have a good time and have a good time as a family and as a shop
That's
and
key.
as a
That is key.
Yeah.
as are we going to have what we want to do around here? You're damn right we are. And
Yep.
we beat you on Saturday. Awesome. If we don't, that's cool too. But let me tell you what, we're going to put our best foot forward, and we're going to bring out the best of what we got in here. And it ain't a whole lot, but we're gonna bring it all to the track.
We gotta put it on them.
And the beer will always be cold, right? That's we always talk
Hey,
about. The beer will always be
hey,
cold, right?
hey.
So
I'm just
I
saying.
want I in through this time, with racing with you, and well, you knew about Michael. I talked about Michael
Oh
and where I
yeah,
came
yeah.
from when we were in Korea a long time ago. But I got to talk about,
A long
and I
time.
got Bubba on here too, because I brag. My number is not my number, right? The one
Yeah.
X is my number. I have all humility in being able to use the number,
Right.
but it belongs home. I'm just been blessed to be able to run the number, because I couldn't think of one back in the day. But we talk about Vado, we talk about going to big tracks, and I got to talk about um, Bryce and
Oh
Michael's
yeah.
son over there at Vado. I brag to Bubba. I brag to you guys all the time about that family over there.
Yep.
I say it, and I'm sure I think Dee Dee and Sandy might be listening tonight too. They're Michael's sisters, and what they've done for me, and having the dream of being able to go racing. I got to work in a
Sure.
shop, but I want to get your take on a 14-year-old. We'll talk about Bryce because he's family. This kid started 17th or 15th or 17th again this past weekend, ran out of laps and finished second. Like the
Incredible.
three
Yeah.
races ago, he started 21st and he won it. 14 years old. And when you talk about Landon, and when he was younger, these young
Happened.
kids and this talent, right, is absolutely amazing.
It is.
And he's setting the world on fire in Vado. I got the win last weekend in the sprint car, started on the pole. So I want to ask you, Bubba, because your son races. He I don't have a son. Landon's more like my brother than a son, even though I'm
Gotcha.
20 some years his elder. But when you see things like what's
Rusty.
happening on tracks like Vado, it's not an I-37 track. Vado is a 3/8,
3/8
70
mile, right?
foot wide. Yeah, and he's in a pure stock 2-barrel car, and he is running amok all
Lighten it
over
up.
these guys.
Lighten it up.
Same way with Land back in the day when he got his first front runner win. What do you think about today's talent and kids like Bryce and the youngsters that we have out at the track? What's your vision for the racing going forward, the way everything is looking on that side?
Well, first thing I would say was, well, uh, I wasn't a driver. His dad is, right. So his dad, you know, told him this, that, and more on a driving skill. I was more of just trying to keep the car together uh, after he would smash
Right.
it or run through the wall or run over something. Um, but really, he's doing a he's doing a
No.
phenomenal job out there. He's showing them old men, how the cow ate the cabbage. and that goes back to his dad. I mean, and that knowledge is obviously passed down. It's just it's it's apples to oranges. You look at Landon. I'm a mechanic. Landon's a mechanic. Landon's a pretty damn good mechanic. Is probably because I'm a mechanic. Just like him.
Right.
His dad's a driver, so he's probably a pretty damn good driver. So, that's how I kind of look at it. That's how I kind of see it. Hats off to him. Hats off to to what they're doing. But that's kind of where I'm at on it.
But Landon, about racing. I'm going to be honest with you, Bubba. You're being very humble right now, or you're being a little modest about it. So let's get real here. You racing. You don't have to drive a car to understand racing and suspensions and mechanics and how car works. And you and I had this conversation some time ago. When Landon was growing up, right? You taught him things about the car, what the car is going to do, if you make this change, what it should do. And now it's kind of changed because obviously, we haven't gone to school for these late models, but you not being a driver, you still taught him about racing. And so when we talk about that raw talent, Landon's got raw talent and he's had it for some time, but you were there to guide him. So do you see that reflection, in that sense that he goes, yeah, you know what, Dad, you're right. I need to do this. And do you still have that influence, if you will? Or are we just too old school because we don't know this new stuff? I'm gonna tell you right now, Leaf Springs. Hey, we got you, man. But
I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. On those free stock days, on the Leaf Spring, it was a lot easier for me to talk to him about kind of how the car was going to react because I had other drivers, that were a lot older than he was that I actually learned from and kind of knew kind of what the car was going to do. So whenever he got into the Leaf Spring car, I was more knowledgeable about what it's going to do because I had that knowledge. Nowadays, it's he knows the springs, he knows the setups, and he knows this and he knows that. I kind of focus myself on the engine side of it and the maintenance side of it and the janitor. It's basically what I am around here. I'm a janitor. I pick up the trash and I make sure the oil is changed and the fluids are good and if there's a strip bolt, I'm your guy. I'll fix the strip bolt or whatever. But I leave all that fancy late model stuff to the prima donnas of the late model world, which is Landon and Andrew.
Oh, we lost us a Bubba.
Oh no.
We lost us.
There he is. He's back.
Is he back? There he is. Hold on. Let me get you back, Bubba. Hold on. Stand fast. There we go. You're back.
Yeah, I got you.
Back. Yeah. So I say that because I don't want you. I want everybody to know too that you you're very prominent in the racing community down here. Whether it's you have something to give to people like parts and stuff, but
yeah,
knowledge wise, you really do. You've really taught me a lot about stuff that I probably wouldn't remember in 5 minutes if you just did it because you've done it that way for so long. But
a lot of my stuff is I can tell you what not to do.
How not to cut a drive shaft on the opening lap, right?
There you go.
I really want to thank you for your time, Bubba. It's been a long time coming. This was one of those subjects, especially when we talk about anxiety. I wanted to wait for when you were ready, but I
was going to ask you, Bubba. We've only talked, I feel like 4 or 5 times.
Sure.
And I mean, I consider you a damn good friend. I mean, well, you
Absolutely.
take care of my best friend, so and you take care of him, you're aces in my book. Okay, but my biggest question for you is, can we bring you up again? Would you mind coming on and having to sit down with us again sometime?
Yeah, I got no problem. I got no problem. Just like you guys want to put my number out or whatever. Someone wants to talk. They want to come over to the shop and we can have a sit down and have a few beers. And if you got anybody that's got problems, I mean, let's talk about it. Let's have a little barbecue and let's
Right
give the
on,
shop
man. Right on.
let's give the shop like men and talk about it. Or women. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens to everybody. We can do
We was
we can
all
do whatever you
soldiers
want
at
to
one
do.
time.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Bubba. Thank you much, man. I really do appreciate you. And hey, heartfelt. I mean, 110%
Yeah.
right here. I love you, bro.
Gotcha, brother.
Thank you so much. And I mean, you took care of my buddy, and that itself means everything to me. But
And it's
I
hard
mean,
to do.
knowing you as a
It's hard.
man
It's
and
hard.
as a
It's hard to
soldier,
do.
it is hard to love this guy. I get it. I
Don't ask
get
my
it.
girlfriend that. She's still trying to figure out how to do it. Bless her heart.
Poor
I
Jim.
she's probably and that's that. I'm gonna say it. I've had my moments with things, and she's been there just like Bubba
Absolutely.
has. I'm gonna tell you.
My girl's been there more than I can.
At least
shake
I
at.
can leave the shop where Bubba and go, thank God he's gone because this guy, but and then I go home,
Yeah,
I go home and she's like,
I'm thinking,
still bring it home.
holy shit! I thought I had problems.
You don't know this guy. Like, damn. I don't think there's a bottle of CBD that can fix this, and that's true. Hey, real quick again, Bubba, thank you so much, and thank you for all your support. Also,
Absolutely.
I know we see each other, we talk to each other every day, but on the big scale, everything you've done for racing and the racing community, everything that you've done to those that have either not said thank you or have forgotten to say thank you because it's what you've done for them. Thank you for helping me out. Thanks for helping Chuck out too, because he needed a place to crash, and thank God we had your spot there because we had the RV there. Otherwise, he'd have a problem.
Stumbles.
Everything that you've done for our charity, taking the car out this week, and real quick, I'm going to talk about the charity event this weekend. You're not going to be there, but Bubba has granted us permission to bring the old hot rod, the Firebird out, and we're going to show it out. Is there anything you'd like to say to anybody out there before we sign this thing off, bro?
Well, the one thing I'd like to kind of end my deal with is there's always help out there. There's no reason to go silent. There's no reason, even though you think there is, even though you think that you want to just climb in a hole and shut it all off. Send one hand out, send one fucking finger up, and reach for somebody because somebody has your back. And if that needs to be me, then it is. I'm here. Andrew's here. I'll give you that link to the book that saved my life. Is it the end all be all? I don't know, but it saved my life, and it's pretty cheesy, but hey.
It's a tool.
But hey,
it's
man,
a tool.
It works.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
it's a tool in your toolbox. And like I said before, there's always somebody else out there that's going through this. You're not alone.
Yep.
You are not alone. Somebody else has been down this path, and you're not alone. Reach out.
I'm so glad you said it just like that. That's one of the most powerful things.
Got choked up, man.
Yeah, man. That's touched because we preach it. You're not alone, man. Bubba, thank you so much again for everything that you've done for us, the racing world, for housing my race car and allowing me to
rent's due tomorrow.
Have a home. You know what?
Hey,
believe it or not,
man.
I won the 50-50 tonight. So guess what? I got you.
my golf game is paid for.
The golf game is paid for. Oh yeah, we're doing golf. Real quick before we go, 988. If you feel like you're gonna, having thoughts,
Right
if anybody out there wants to yes, he's pointing right at it like we all are. Listen, this episode is directly tied to the Dial 988 hotline.
Amen.
You're not alone, just like Bubba said. I don't have anything else. Everybody that's watching, we had a good crowd tonight. Believe it or not, this is the most crowd that we've had in a long time.
Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Again, Bubba, we love you. We'll see you tomorrow on the golf course. If you'll just hang tight, don't go anywhere. We're going to shut this thing off. And we'll go do a little, I don't know who does that, but I hope it's not Taylor Swift. So,
Oh, my bad.
real quick. Right. So real quick, we have some events coming up. We got
Yes, sir.
September 28th this Saturday, Slinging for the Vets. We're gonna have the slingshots out there. The
Be there, be square.
Iceman's gonna be out there giving autographs out. We're gonna have a whole bunch of slingshots. Hopefully, it's gonna be at the Blue Bonnet Palace in Selma, starting at 11 o'clock. We're gonna be there early to set up. And then hopefully next year we got something coming up big. Hopefully it comes through. Nitro ain't got nothing else. Rocco, if you ain't got nothing.
All I gotta say is a few things, real quick.
Go ahead.
A few things. I want to say a huge thank you for
The American Legion Post 245.
Post 245
for having us tonight.
The American
Absolutely.
Legion, American Legion Riders, man, guys, absolutely love you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I came in here off the street and
You got
it's like I just walked into my home.
Yeah.
So again, and I don't want to get choked up because I know I'll start getting choked up, but you have no idea how much it means to me personally that y'all accepted me the way you have. And then I bought my buddy, and you guys acted like he's been here for 30 years.
Everybody here at the Post has just been real. Raul,
So
the Post Commander, everybody's been so
Elisa.
grateful. They came in and said, hey, have a spot if you need a spot to do the podcast.
they told us to do it right here.
Do it right here. So outside of that, Saturday again, Slinging for the Vets.
Well,
Go to your nearest American Legion, VFW. Go support the
part.
veterans and be a part of the cause. That's
Amen.
what they're here for.
it's a lot bigger than what you think. I
It's
promise you
very
that.
big. To everybody that listened tonight, all of you, thank you so much for joining us. And
One last thing.
I may have a few hats
MSC
out there this
Aquatics.
weekend.
Oh.
I may have a few hats out there this weekend.
oh,
Sweet.
yes,
Cool.
awesome. So Iceman swag, but you were going to
I was
say
gonna say, MSC Aquatics, our buddy Mike.
Yeah.
That we got on the CBD for his back and everything, and he's been doing really good. But he's doing that thing for
Oh
us.
yeah,
Yeah, it's wow.
really,
Oh,
that's awesome. I
Dude,
can't wait to
this
unveil
thing's
that.
gonna have a pizza oven, bro.
Oh, this is really cool. In fact, we might get Bubba Sowder to
Pizza
go out there and make
oven.
some cook for us on this thing. This is awesome.
I make popcorn.
Thank you, Mike, for the donation. We're looking forward to what pop.
That's it. Oh, you'll make a lot of popcorn on this
Man.
thing, trust me.
Yeah, I'm trying to sign off, and he's gonna bring up my kryptonite is his popcorn. I'm gonna tell you that right now, man.
Oh, shit.
Next Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Be
Be
there,
square, Gearheads and Guardians. I got nothing.
Shoot straight, be safe, and God bless y'all. We'll see you soon.
Have a good night.